Namaskar. Welcome to episode 4 of Indian Political History series. And today our topic of discussion is the historical literatures in the Indian subcontinent. In the last few episodes, we have gone through other sources like Vedas, Puranas, and the epics, which together provide information about Indian political history. In this series, we will cover Indian political history in great detail, so before we go into the core element, our focus is to go through the literary and archaeological sources which act as a source material for Indian political history. Now, before I start, as a disclaimer, I would like to say that Sanskrit is very difficult to pronounce when translated into English. Hence, there will be mistakes in pronunciation. I apologize for that in advance. Also, you can listen to this video as an audio because I have explained it in great detail. So I will just read out the slides and hope this presentation is of use to you, especially if you are doing history major or if you are interested in ancient Indian history. So let's start. Introduction to historical kavyas. Sanskrit kavyas are literary works combining history, imagination, and poetic ornamentation. While not strictly historical chronicles, they preserve valuable cultural, political, and social insights. This presentation explores a wide range of kavyas, including Harṣacarita of Bāṇa, Gaudavaho of Vākpati, Navaśāhasāṅkacarita of Padmagupta, Vikramāṅkadeva-caritam of Bilhaṇa, and Rajatarangini of Kalhana, each reflecting unique approaches to history. Beyond Kashmir, we examine Gujarat chronicles such as Hemchandra's Divyasraya Mahakavya, Someswara's Kriti Kaumudi, and Merutunga's Pravanda Chintamani, which together provide extensive political and dynastic history. The narrative extends to Sandhyakara Nandin's Ramacharita, Rudra Kavi's Rashtrodau Dha Vinasha, Ganga Devi's Madhura Vajyam, and Ramabhadra's Raghunatha Vahutyam, Assamese Vurjanis, and Nepalese Vamshavalis, showing how literary traditions evolved across regions. Other sources such as Sindh's Chachnama and Sanskrit dramas like Mudra Rakshasa, Malavika Agnimitra, and Devi Chandragupta are also considered for their indirect historical value. Together, these works reveal how poets, dramatists, and chroniclers balanced myth and fact, producing records that, despite literary exaggeration, remain crucial for reconstructing ancient and medieval Indian history. Early historical kavyas and Bana's Harṣacarita. Sanskrit produced one genuine historical chronicle, the Rajatarangini, which deserves a separate discussion. Other historical kavyas and charitas probably originated from the Allahabad Prasasti of Samudragupta. The earliest and most famous historical kavya is Bana's Harṣacarita, or Life of Harsha. Though not a biography in the modern sense, it begins with Harsha's career and incorporates all elements of a kavya. Bana, son of Brahmana parents, lived in the late 6th century AD. His list of friends at the beginning of Harshacharita is striking and unusual, showing his pride and egotism. On one occasion, after losing favor, Bana returned to Harsha's court. He was introduced as a great Bhujanga, a term with multiple meanings, including gallant or harlot's lover. Harsha valued Bana's talent despite blemishes in his conduct. When Bana asked, Ka me Vujangata, how then am I a Vujanga? Harsha ended the matter without reproach. His flaunting of lowly friends in his work reflected youthful pride, meaning to challenge the proud courtiers at Harsha's side. Significance of Harṣacarita. Bana's record of his conversation with Harsha is the only authentic detail preserved from ancient India. He remains the only major writer of whom concrete knowledge exists, unlike Kalidas or Bhabhabhuti. The Harṣacarita is the earliest attempt at writing a prose kāvya with a historical theme, mainly a descriptive imagination with Harshavardhana as hero. Its value lies in being one of the only sources available. Since other records are unobtainable, Bana faithfully recorded some incidents of Harsha's career but left many aspects obscure. The work leaves the identity of Malava and the Gauda kings unclear. Much of history is lost in Bana's ornate descriptions. His style often pursues fancy over fact. Despite limitations, his exuberant accounts provide insights into social life, yet Vanna avoided political history of the period, preferred silence, and his work was left unfinished. Though based on history, the style, spirit, and treatment of Harshacharita are not historical. Bana probably considered himself more poet than historian. Gaudavaho and its historical value. The next notable work is Gaudavaho, Sanskrit Gaudavadha, written in Prakrit by Vākpati or Vākpati Raja, celebrating Yaśovarman of Kannauj. His conquests are dated AD 725 to 735. The title and theme were likely inspired by the earlier Prakrit poem Ranavaho, Rananvaho, though a kāvya of 1209 verses, it only refers once to the slaying of the Gauda king, verse 1194. Five verses describe the defeat and death of the Magadha king, yet the overall historical worth of Gaudavaho remains small. The author intended to describe how Yaśovarman cut the throat of the Gauda king, leading to the assumption that the Magadha king and Gauda king were the same, though this view has difficulties. Possibly in response to popular demand, Vākpati aimed to narrate not only Magad but other eastern kingdoms, including Gauda. The abrupt end suggests either incompleteness or loss of the complete text. Unlike Harshacharita, which blends history with poetry, Gaudavaho offers only fragmentary historical value, serving more as a conventional kavya. Padmagupta and Bilhaṇa. Composed by Padmagupta Parimala around AD 1005, Navaśāhasāṅkacarita in honor of Paramara king Sindhuraja of Malava, also known as Navaśāhasāṅka. The Kavya has 18 cantos or 1525 verses describing the fairy tale romance and marriage of the king with Shashiprabha, daughter of the Naga king Shankapala, with little historical value. Written in 18 cantos as a laudatory biography of Vikramāditya VI, Bilhaṇa's Vikramādeva-Charitam, Cālukya king of Kalyani AD 1076 to 1126. Life of Bilhaṇa. Born at Khana Musa, modern Khunmob, northwest of Paramār in Kashmir, in a Brahmana family, he traveled Mathura Vrindavan, Varanasi, and stayed at the court of Karna of Kalachuri. Around AD 1073, he visited Gujarat, favored by Chalukya king Karna, and composed Karna Sundari about Karna's marriage with Mayanalla Devi. Around AD 1078, he left Gujarat, went to Karnataka, and composed Vikramāṅkadeva-caritam under the patronage of Vikramāditya VI. Bilhaṇa's works and reputation. Vikramāṅkadeva-caritam praises Vikramaditya VI but mixes fact and fiction. Bilhaṇa himself admitted receiving royal favor, composing works, and facing rivals. Kalhana's records Bilhaṇa's reputation. He left Kashmir during King Kalasha's reign and later praised by Paramardi or Vikramaditya VI, ruler of Karnataka. Kalhana's remarks. He states Bilhaṇa repented leaving Kashmir when hearing of King Harsha of Kashmir's munificence. However, Kalhana criticizes poets for being deceived by splendor. Final canto. In the last canto, Bilhana praises Kalasa of Kashmir and his father, but Kalhana notes Bilhana never shared Kashmir's bounty. Bilhana also composed Chauda Panchashika, considered his most satisfactory work. His works are conventional kāvyas, blending ornate descriptions with few historical facts, showing more literary than historical intent. Historical value of kāvyas. Nature of kāvyas. Historical kāvyas, like those of Bana, Bilhana, and Padmagupta, often highlight romance, nature, and divine providence rather than historical fact. Long poetic descriptions, supernatural elements, and focus on patrons reduce their historical reliability, though they preserve cultural impressions. Padmagupta's Dar eti Namana Kula Rajadhani indicates Ujjaini and Dhar as Paramara capitals. Patanjali's references. In Mahabhashya, Patanjali mentions Maurya kings selling golden deity images and refers to Chandragupta Sabha and Pushyamitra Sabha along with Yavana invasion. The only kavya reaching the standard of a chronicle is Kalhana's Rajatarangini, written by Kalhana of Kashmir. It provides detailed history unlike other kavyas. M. A. Stein suggested his father was Champaka, Mahamatya Champaka Prabhu, minister of King Harsha of Kashmir, though identification is debated. Kalhana's Rajatarangini. Historical value. Nature of work. Though regarded today as a valuable historical chronicle, Rajatarangini was primarily a kavya. Kalhana himself praised the power of true poets to bestow immortality and place past events vividly before men's eyes. The aim of Sanskrit kavya was to produce rasa, which means sentiment, subordinating facts of imagination. Kalhana admitted his task's magnitude, limited attractive variety. He avoided the conventional descriptions that mar Bilhana's Vikramāṅkadeva-carita and displayed a historian's insight. Kalhana wrote that the noble poet, like a judge, must be free from love or hatred in relating past facts. He critically examined earlier works, rejecting Kshemendra's Nara Pavali or the list of kings as careless and erroneous. Kalhana consulted 11 works of former scholars, inscriptions, temple grants, laudatory inscriptions, and the Nila Mata Purana, trying to overcome errors. Kalhana's approach to history. Kalhana approached history like a modern student, analyzing past records but differing due to the Indian mental environment that valued imagination equal to fact. He admitted myths and superstitions saved traditions. For example, the list of 52 rulers was unavailable, so he reconstructed chronology based on legends. In the fourth book, covering the Karkota dynasty, Kalhana marks transition from legends to authentic history. His chronology is corroborated by the coinage, showing attempts at factual accuracy. The most vivid episodes are in Book 7 and 8, where Kalhana narrates events from the eyewitness accounts and contemporary records. From verse 703 onwards, he provided dates not only by year but also by month and day, especially during Anantivarman's reign. Merits and style of Rajatarangini. Rajatarangini is a rare ancient annal where the first part blends legend but later sections achieve the merit of true history. He displayed rare virtue, recording impartiality, both virtuous and vicious acts of kings without hesitation. Unlike Bana, he avoided ornamental digressions, instead narrating real incidents with political depth, covering treasons, intrigues, assassinations, and murders. He depicted courtiers, landlords, sycophants, immoral teachers, priests, soldiers, and immoral ladies, providing a glimpse of Kashmir's turbulent society. His lifetime coincided with Kashmir's civil wars and political dissolution, which gave his history an impression of decay. Despite grim themes, Kalhana inserted humor, example, ridiculing Kamalavardhana's folly in trusting Brahmanas, likening it to entrusting power to unintoxicated men. His sharp satire on corruption and diplomacy resonates with contemporary Indian politics. Kalhana's biases, social views, and scope. Kalhana came from the ruling class and upheld the established order. Any variation from the regal is frowned upon. He castigates a king who chooses fox hunting over fighting neighbors and condemns interference with temple property or Brahmana rights. He warns unrighteous kings. Prosperity once destroyed by kinsmen or rivals cannot be re-established. If lost through disregard of Brahmanas, he notes their superior intelligence, hold over credulous villages, and famed capacity for intrigue. Though not devoid of sympathy, he deems them a lower social stratum and must remain in peace for the common people. Any king acting otherwise is censured. He opposes resuming temple grants or fresh taxes, reading such acts as cruelty of an impious monarch. Woman. His view is harsh. Cited by Dr. Beredel Keith, in women's hearts there is no room for good conduct. The Creator gave them rounded breasts. On a courtesan's fidelity, he adds, there are high and low courses of conduct as a result of love, not deserving of either censure or adoration by refined minds. Two advantages shaped his history. He was not writing a royal biography and he had no patron. Thus, he wrote freely, yet his vision was limited to Kashmir, missing great events elsewhere in India. The criticism is called pointless. Regional histories everywhere are local. He could verify only Kashmiri inscriptions. The limited area gave unity and sustained interest, preferable to a diffuse, over ambitious project. Gujarati historical writing Hemchandra, Someswara, Merutunga. Comparing Kalhana with great chronicles, about 23 works, 2 are general histories, 9 are biographies of Kumarapala and Hemchandra, 7 concern Vastupala and Tejapala, 6 or 7 are unclassified, including Bilhaṇa's Karna Sundari. Three key works Divyasraya Mahakavya of Hemchandra, the greatest scholar of his age. Number 2, Kriti Kaumudi of Someswara, a contemporary and hereditary royal priest. Number 3, Meru Tunga's Pravandha Chintamani, the most detailed Chalukya history. Hemchandra's plan. He first composed a Sanskrit grammar still celebrated, then a Mahakavya to illustrate its rules. The theme history of the Chalukyas of Gujarat was chosen to please his patron Jayasimha Siddharaja. The grammar is known as Siddha Hemachandra. Assessment. The poem is a tour de force, but anything but history. Real historical substance largely comes via commentator Avaya Tilaka Gani. A. K. Forbes Rasamala relied on this commentary. His printed outline of the Divyas Raya in 1A4 is essentially a summary translation. Forbes showed good judgment in ignoring much of the original poem. Kriti Kaumudi is more satisfactory, yet partisan. He sometimes states as facts whatever suited patrons' interests. Still, he could write accurate prasasti, notably the second canto, covering up to the death of Mula Raja II. Pravanda Chintamani may be treated as a general history of Gujarat from AD 883 to 1193. Though he surveyed many predecessors, apparently not reading Hemchandra closely, his goal was to replace tell hard tales, yielding a vivid collection of anecdotes strung around Gujarat's political history. Merutunga's precision and Jayanaka's Prithviraja Vijaya. S- Hemchandra and Someswara's bias. When writing Gujarat's history, he wrote Gujarat had conquered Malava. Both authors scarcely notice the Paramāras except in defeat. Merutunga's context. Completing his book after the Khiljis overrun Gujarat and Malava, he impartially records anecdotes about Chalukya kings and Paramara rulers like Munja and Voja. Yet he omits entirely the period he knew directly, the fall of the Vaghelas, leading to Muslim conquest, likely to avoid awkwardness. Had he covered it, his work might have been ranked with Rajatarangini. Dating method but flaws. He typically gives 1 year in Vikrama era, 2 lunar month and Tithi, and the Lagna. On examination, many details prove wrong and probably hazarded at random, despite his usually precise, unambiguous presentation. Another regional kāvya, Prithviraja Vijaya by Jayanaka, probably a Kashmiri, survives with a commentary by Jona Raja, author of the second Rajatarangini. Day and Patronage, likely written around AD 1191 to 1193 during the lifetime of the ill-fated Chahamana Emperor Prithviraja III. The poet states he was honored and induced to write by the king, son of Someswara. Purpose, state, and reliability. Assumed to celebrate Prithviraja's victory over Mahmududdin AD 1191, his completion was likely thwarted by the reverse of fortune. The manuscripts are fragmentary, especially at the end. Though a Mahakavya, it is fairly reliable for Chahamana's history. Prithviraja is portrayed as an incarnation of Rama, just as Hemchandra defied Jayasimha, common practice of the age. The Ramacharita and its context. Unique Kavya. The Ramacharita of Sandhyakara Nandin is among the most curious historical kavyas. By constant play upon words, it narrates two stories in parallel. Across 220 Arya verses, it simultaneously recounts the Ramayana and the history of Ramapala of the Pala dynasty. Each verse thus was twofold meaning and application. While epic elements dominate, there are important local and contemporary allusions to Ramapala's exploits, making it a unique blend of myth and history. An anonymous commentary explains up to verse 35 of chapter 2. A Kavi Prasasti at the end reveals that the poet was Nandin, son of Prajapati, a Sandhivrahika of Ramapala, means minister of Ramapala. Authors claim Nandin, calling himself Kalikala Valmiki, claimed mastery in rhetoric and linguistics. His Slesha, though praised, was difficult for later scholars, requiring long study to decode meanings. The text was likely completed under Madanpal, the third successor of Ramapal. It was only detailed source on the Bengal Kaivarta rebellion during the interregnum. Other kavyas and regional works. Rashtraudha Vinasha Mahakavya, composed by Rudrakavi, glorifies the dynasty of patron Narayana of Mayuragiri, Baglana, narrating history from mythic origins to AD 1596. Madhura Vijayam by Ganga Devi, wife of Kumara Kampana, chief queen of Bukka I of Vijayanagara. It recounts Kampana's conquest of Madura from Muslims. Raghunatha Vayudhyam by Ramabhadrama, consort of Raghunatha Nayaka of Tanjore. She was a cultured woman writer whose modest yet historical verses highlight her husband's campaign. Mandalika Nripacharitam narrates the life and fall of Yadava Mandalika of Junagadh in the second half of 15th century. Assamese Burunjis, chronicles written in Assamese, narrating events and reigns of Ahom kings, representing the historical tradition of Assam. Nepalese Vamshavalis, lists of Nepalese kings with durations of reigns, providing chronological data though with limited detail. Later historical sources and dramas. Spread of historical writing. Kashmir, Assam, and Nepal developed historical traditions. In Kashmir, Jona Raja in AD 1459, wrote the fourth Rajatarangini with successors Srivara, Pradyavata, and Shuka. Though literary in form, these were considered good enough to translate into Persian. Chinese influence. Dr. P. Shi Bagji suggested possible Chinese influence on historical writing as traditions of recording history were old in China. Local chronicles of Sindh contributed to the Persian Chachnama in the early 13th century AD, which described the Arab conquest of Sindh and referenced its earlier history. Dramatic sources. Besides kavyas, Sanskrit dramas with historical themes include Mudra Rakshasa, Malavika Agnimitra, and Devi Chandragupta. While their plots are dramatized, they are not inherently impossible, and in absence of other evidence, such plays provide glimpses of reconstructing Indian history. Together with kavyas, these sources form a composite picture of political, cultural, and social history, balancing imagination with kernels of fact. Sources. Primary Sanskrit kavyas. The foundation of this presentation rests on the key kavyas including Bāṇa's Harṣacarita, Vākpati's Gaudavaho, Padmagupta's Navaśāhasāṅkacarita, Bilhaṇa's Vikramāṅkadeva-carita, and Kalhana's Rajatarangini. Later works such as Sandhyakara Nandin's Ramacharita, Rudrakavi's Rashtrodha Vinasha, and Ganga Devi's Madhura Vijayam and Ramabhadrama's Raghunatha Vahuyudham were also analyzed. Regional histories. Important Gujarat chronicles studied include Hemchandra's Divyasraya Mahakavya, Someshwara's Kritika Kaumudi, and Merutunga's Prabandha Chintamani, which provide dynastic accounts from AD 883 to 1304. Assamese Buranjis and Nepalese Vamshavalis added valuable regional perspectives. Persian and Arabic texts. The Persian Chachnama, 13th century AD, based on earlier Arabic history, provided details of Arab conquest of Sindh. These works represent cross-cultural sources outside Sanskrit traditions. Several Sanskrit plays were noted for historical allusions, including Vishakadatta's Mudra Rakshasa, Kalidasa's Malavika Agnimitra, and anonymous Devi Chandragupta. While dramatic in nature, they preserve fragments of political history. References were also made to critical works such as A. K. Majumdar's Chalukyas of Gujarat, 1956, and his studies on historical kavyas in the Journal of World History, 1960. Commentaries by Avaya Tilaka Gani in AD 1255 and translations by scholars like Dr. Beridel Kith further informed this study. Supporting evidence, inscriptions, temple grants, coinage, and cross references from Puranas and epigraphic records were used to verify narratives where possible, balancing poetic exaggeration with factual evidence. So that was all about the other historical literatures available in the Indian subcontinent. We have gone through a wide range of literatures in this place which provide us a lot of information about the political history of India. We have also gone through the difficulties in analyzing all these texts and how far these texts can be trusted. In our next episode, we are going to discuss more about the political history of India, focusing on the sources. Until then, stay tuned. Thank you for your love and support.